When this conflict began, everything seemed different. Russia moved fast, claiming rapid advances in just a few days. But now, Russian losses are staggering. This seems to end in failure.
One clearing set to defend the area. The first javelin was fired at the advancing column, but it missed. Subsequent shots also failed to hit their target. Still, the Russian forces pressed forward. Their advance was halted at a deep trench dug by Ukrainian troops. At that moment, drones entered the battle. The drones struck the convoy, forcing Russian soldiers to abandon their vehicles and scatter for cover. One tank tried to escape via an alternate route, but drones pursued and destroyed it. With the vehicles trapped and unable to move, Ukrainian operators began dropping explosives one after another. Each strike hit precisely, and since the vehicles carried ammunition, the resulting blasts were massive. Russian soldiers hiding nearby were soon exposed. Explosives rained down, forcing them out of cover. One soldier caught in a blast was set on fire while attempting to flee. The drones continued their assault, targeting vehicles, tree lines, and trenches where troops sought shelter. Every attempted cover was met with another strike. One by one, the soldiers were eliminated.
By the time this particular engagement came to an end, more than 21 Russian soldiers had been killed, and not a single vehicle from their armored column was left intact, with each one burned out, dismantled by explosives, or left in ruins across the field. Less than a full day after that disastrous encounter, Russian forces attempted another push in the Kupiansk direction, sending 4 additional tanks forward, despite the fact that 5 other armored vehicles had already been destroyed in earlier clashes in the same sector. The lead tank continued advancing until it rolled over a hidden mine, triggering a violent explosion that sent debris, fire, and thick black smoke into the air. The tank immediately behind it drove into the path of a cluster munition, which detonated beneath it and brought it to a fiery halt. Of the 2 remaining vehicles trying to continue the advance, one struck another concealed mine, and the resulting blast ensured that nobody inside survived. In an effort to reroute and outmaneuver the minefields, the final vehicle took a slightly altered path, but it ended with the same outcome when it too drove over an explosive and was destroyed, leaving nothing but twisted, burning metal. Ukrainian forces, despite the scale of the loss, Russian commanders pressed forward with another attempt, assembling a fresh line of 5 armored vehicles led by a T-90 tank, trailed by 2 armored personnel carriers, what appeared to be a T-82 tank, and a final APC acting as rear support. The convoy moved across open ground until the APC directly behind the lead T-90 was suddenly struck by a Ukrainian drone, forcing the rest of the column to halt. Attempts to reverse out of the attack zone were cut short when another drone made impact. Panic set in quickly, and Russian soldiers began abandoning their vehicles as more drones circled overhead and delivered additional strikes from the immediate area, did so without their full crews, leaving disorganized infantry behind to fend for themselves in terrain exposed to aerial surveillance. Ukrainian troops finished the job by using additional explosives and javelin missiles to destroy the remaining armor. And any soldiers attempting to crawl beneath wreckage for cover were systematically eliminated. By the end of the engagement, roughly 11 Russian troops who escaped the armored column took shelter in abandoned houses nearby, unaware that Ukrainian reconnaissance drones had already spotted them. Explosives were dropped on the buildings they entered, and within minutes both the hiding soldiers and the remaining damaged vehicles were reduced to rubble. This string of failed assaults mirrors what has been happening repeatedly across multiple parts of the front, and the pattern is becoming difficult to deny. By this stage alone, in just one area, Russian forces had already lost more than 20 armored vehicles, ranging from tanks and BMPs to APCs, and more than 30 soldiers had been killed in a single concentrated effort to break Ukrainian defensive lines. Yet those This was not a unique or isolated episode. It reflects a broader truth visible across the conflict as a whole. Since the full-scale invasion began, Russia has lost well over 11,000 tanks, while Ukrainian tank losses remain under 1,000. The contrast speaks volumes, especially given that Russia entered the war with one of the world's largest inventories of armored vehicles. Yet its armored thrusts are being destroyed faster than they can be replaced. When those hardware losses are combined with an estimated 30 to 40,000 soldiers lost over just the last several months, the scale of the situation comes sharply into view. At the start of the war, Russian units advanced quickly, capturing territory and forcing Ukrainian forces to fall back, creating the impression that the defense would be overwhelmed in short order. But over the past 4 to 5 months, momentum has shifted significantly. Ukrainian troops have not only held their positions, they have consistently worn down Russian offensives. But what they encountered instead were layered defenses, consisting of minefields, artillery, anti-tank weapons, and increasingly drones. These measures have shredded vehicles and inflicted psychological damage on the crews who operate them. In areas such as Zaporizhia and Donetsk, Ukrainian counterattacks have recaptured villages, destroyed ammunition storage points. The reason for the shift lies in how quickly Ukraine has integrated Western military systems into active operations. Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, Abrams tanks, Leopard 2 main battle tanks, and Javelin missiles have matched and in many cases surpassed the capabilities of Russian armor on the battlefield. Yet among all the changes and adaptations, drones have likely made the most decisive difference. In recent months, they have transformed the battlefield, not just as an added capability, but as a central component of layered defense and offensive action. Reconnaissance drones continually scan contested areas, giving Ukrainian artillery real-time corrections for its fire. Attack drones strike both infantry and armored vehicles, with precision that would have been practically impossible using traditional methods alone. These unmanned systems, relatively cheap and easy to deploy, have halted entire assaults that once would have required heavy artillery or large troop concentrations. When drones are combined with modern armor, anti-tank systems, and well-prepared defensive positions, Ukrainian troops enjoy a decisive tactical edge. Time and again, failed Russian assaults demonstrate that brute force is not enough to gain ground. Hoping that volume could compensate for earlier losses. Almost immediately, an APC triggered the mine, signaling danger to the rest of the convoy, yet they advanced. Ukrainian drones rapidly engaged, homing in on tanks from behind and striking them with deadly accuracy. One explosion after another tore through hulls and turrets. Flames engulfed the lead vehicles, and secondary detonations followed. More drones arrived and targeted whatever remained operational. Then a truck carrying ammunition was struck, causing a blast so large that the smoke could be seen far beyond the front line. None of which escaped the onslaught. The SUV was set ablaze, the MTLB followed soon after, and another drone locked onto a tank and inflicted critical damage. One of the tanks tried to flee, but drones pursued it relentlessly, striking from multiple angles until it was left burning.
You might remember how, in that assault, the Russian soldiers ended up abandoning their vehicles when the drones started closing in. They thought jumping out and running on foot would give them a better chance to survive. But what they didn't realize was that the Ukrainian drone operators were already watching everything from above. Nothing went unseen. As soon as the crews scattered, the drones began striking them one by one. Some tried to hide behind the burning armor. Others ran toward nearby tree lines and empty houses. But every movement was tracked. The drones didn't rush. Each target was hit carefully and precisely. What started as an attempted retreat turned into a complete collapse, with no vehicle recovered and no soldiers making it out safely.
Watch this Russian ammo supply truck moving through Ukrainian territory like they own the place. Ukrainian drones track its every move, and just like that, the strike hits. For the past 4 to 5 months, every Russian attack has ended in heavy losses, and the numbers keep adding up. Each failed assault shows just how strong and prepared Ukrainian defenses have become, and how effective their tactics, drones, and anti-tank systems are. Russia keeps losing vehicles and troops because their assaults rely on outdated tactics and predictable armored pushes. They continue to send tanks and personnel into well-prepared Ukrainian defenses, often underestimating mines, anti-tank systems. Watch how this plays out in real time. Here you can see Book M2 and Book M3 systems being destroyed as they try to prepare for a strike on Ukrainian positions. Ukrainian drones move in with precision, targeting every exposed vehicle. The results are staggering. Fireballs erupt, thick black smoke rises, and you can see just how devastating and complete the destruction is. Each strike leaves nothing behind and sends a clear message. Russian forces cannot maneuver freely without being tracked and neutralized. The combination of Ukrainian preparation, technology, and tactical discipline turns even powerful missile systems into easy targets when drones are in the sky.
If you appreciate this kind of detailed commentary and want to see more frontline updates, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for all the latest military reports.